My name is Injun Moon and welcome to I Home Church. And for those of you joining us for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our email list. Well, I'm sure that all of you have heard one of the biggest hits of the year, a song called Am I Wrong by Nico Vinz from Oslo, Norway. And this song has really been a surprise hit. And I guess a lot of people were talking about, what's the song about? And initially, people thought maybe it's a song about relationships, am I wrong for wanting something real, and so on and so forth. But when an interviewer asked the singer and songwriter, they responded that actually it's a song about reaching for your dreams, wanting to reach the top of the world. And am I wrong for thinking that I could make that my reality? And I think, every one of us can relate to exactly feeling that way at one point, or maybe 2-3 points, or maybe many points in our lives where we doubted our own dreams or our own potential or our own abilities, because perhaps the world has made us or taught us to think that it's crazy, it's just out of our league, there's just no way, it's too difficult. And that's what the song is really about. And I realized that in my life of faith, one of the biggest difficulties that I've had to overcome is exactly that. In really asking myself, am I really wrong to want to have a wonderful life, a fulfilled life, a life where I'm loving life? And, coming from the kind of a family that I came from, growing up in the public eye, it's been an incredibly difficult and a challenging journey. But, the question as to whether, we might be reaching far beyond what we are capable of. This question, I'm sure, has plagued many good men and women over the centuries and over the years. But there is something about the human spirit, because we are all divine sons and daughters of God. There is something, our inner voice, that tells us, we can accomplish what we set our mind to. Do not doubt. Do out with all the doubting. Understand that we come from God, our Heavenly Parent. And if we understand ourselves to be the divine sons and daughters of our Heavenly Parent, we realize we have infinite value, infinite potential, and infinite ability to accomplish all that we want to accomplish. And so the important thing when I listen to this song is to remember to never stop dreaming. We have to dare to dream, even when the world tells us we might be crazy or we might be wrong for dreaming what we do dream. We have to dare to dream. And more than that, we have to dare to dream and be filled with the Spirit to really accomplish what we want to accomplish in our lives. And, of course, God gave us everything. God really created this incredible universe. He's done 95% of the work. But God is asking us to really exercise the remaining 5%, meaning He leaves us with the responsibility of free will to freely decide what kind of a man and a woman we would like to be. And, I often think, when people have called me crazy, I remember while I was the president of the Unification Church of America, when we started a music ministry called Loving Life Ministries, I was called a crazy woman. Because what I wanted to create, a musical ministry, was something that's never been done before in the history of our church. And so doing something new and doing something that people are not used to, trying to kind of move things along is not always the easiest thing to do. And many times when you're at the forefront of trying to make that change, you will be called crazy. And so much so that maybe perhaps I or you or we might be wondering, am I wrong? To think about the possibility of a ministry being exciting, inspiring, empowering, relevant, and able to connect people to a larger vision of understanding that we are one family under God. Well, the great thing about having God as our Heavenly Parent is that regardless of how much doubting we may go through in our life of faith, the inner voice is always there to say, you can do it. Again, eternal encouragement. And so I often think about the time when the Israelites are leaving Egypt, following Moses, and they're at the threshold of the demarcation between the Red Sea and dry landing. And, I often kind of put myself in that situation. And, they must have been thinking, okay, do we follow this miracle worker who is claiming that he is God's chosen person to lead us into the Red Sea when the vision of impending doom is coming very fiercely, very quickly upon us from behind? And even after Moses parted the Red Sea, I am sure these people probably must have been wondering, the Israelites must have been wondering, here are these walls of water, parted, definitely parted, but standing. But what if we don't make it? What if it just collapses on us? So here they are at the threshold. And so they have to choose between life and death. If they remain, it is sudden death physically, and it is also sudden death spiritually, in that if they're captured again and they're brought back into slavery and a life of bondage, well, you can pretty much say you're going to live the rest of your life as the living dead. Or do they venture onward and risk the possibility of dying, but the hope or the dream of being a free person, being able to raise your family in the loving manner that you want to do, is too precious to not go for it? Well, the Israelites definitely decided that yes, it is precious. Our dreams of being free men and women, of living in a land where we could really substantiate these beautiful ideal families, or these true families, that's what we want. And so they ventured through the Red Sea following Moses. And in many ways, I think we in a life of faith have felt ourselves looking at the parted Red Sea, following our true parents throughout the years, wondering to ourselves, well, are we going to step out of dry land, and go into this parted water for the dream of building ideal families? Well, I think most of us who've lost it thus far have said yes. But over the years, the world kind of catches up with us, and the world makes us doubt. Am I crazy? Am I wrong for still dreaming about these things? And, a while back I overheard a couple young people saying, it's really stupid to think about we can build ideal families. It's just too utopian. I mean, there's just no such a thing in this world. And only people who are living in La La Land are talking about ideal families. Well, it's a good reminder to remind ourselves that it is precisely the people who have usually been called living in La La Land that have changed the world. My father, for one, is a great example. People have called him crazy. People have called him living in La La Land. Your trying to create something that just cannot be created because the world is evil or the world is ugly. But the incredible thing about my father is he never gave up believing in the goodness of humankind, in the beauty of humankind, the fact that we are all divine sons and daughters of God. It doesn't matter where you've been. It doesn't matter where you come from. He really, truly believed that as long as we have the dream, and as long as we can be filled with the Spirit, and as long as we choose life over death, Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19 says, I have set before you life and death. Therefore, choose life. When we read this Bible passage, or certainly when I read it, I asked myself, isn't it kind of self-evident that if you put life and death and ask somebody to choose between the two, that most people would choose life? But many times in our lives, it's not that clear. And many times it takes God's commandment or God's compelling us forward to say, therefore, choose life. Exercise your 5% responsibility, your free will, and decide to live a life where you are filled with the Spirit, where you are accomplishing your dream. And the way to do that is not only do you have to have a vision of what you want in terms of what you're dreaming about, not only do you have to be inspired, filled with the Spirit, because God is asking you to choose life. But the third step we have to remember is we got to move. We got to accomplish it. It doesn't matter how filled with the Spirit or how much dreams the Israelites might have had standing at the threshold of their decision as to whether they were going to follow Moses onto the Red Sea or not, the parted Red Sea or not. We have to decide. And God is asking us to choose life, but we have to choose and we have to act on it. Because if the Israelites, even though that's what they wanted, if they just stood there and didn't move, then they would have perished physically or spiritually, one way or another, by being taken back to Egypt as slaves once again. So I feel that, when we kind of tell ourselves, the unificationists, that our dream is really to accomplish world peace through ideal families. And we are absolutely filled with the Spirit because we understand when God says in Deuteronomy, therefore choose life. Choose the kind of a direction where you can be fulfilling individual, where you are accomplishing your dreams, where you are filled with the Spirit, living for the sake of others, accomplishing and substantiating this vision of an ideal family in your life, because we're all going to be working at it. Well, it's kind of interesting that, in order for us to accomplish what we want, we have to have a concept, right? We have to be able to conceive of our dreams, and then we have to believe in our dreams, be filled with the Spirit, and then we have to achieve what we want to accomplish in our lives by putting in this effort. And so when we talk about moving and creating these incredible ideal families, well, what are we talking about? I like to think of there's one example where somebody was asking me, well, how would you describe your life for the last 30 years, and how would you describe your life now? And I said, well, that's a really good question. I said, the last 30 years of my blessed life, my first marriage, I guess the word that I hung on to the most was survive. And I was very much under this, the age of the wilderness mentality, where we are we need to survive. And in order to survive, we have to obey to the commands that are being given to us. And that was pretty much my modus operandi. As difficult as it is, the more difficult it got, the harder I clung on to. And I pretty much, from God's bird's eye point of view, must have looked like somebody who's hanging on for dear life at the top of the Empire State Building. That's how I must have looked to God. But now I can truly say that I feel I have graduated from survive, command and obey, to thrive. In that, in order to change from survive to thrive, we have to introduce a couple letters. We have to introduce the letter T and H. And I always say that before we arrive at true love, we have to have one, truth, T, truth for T, and number two, honesty for H. So unless you have this T and H, it's very, very difficult to arrive at true love in your relationship. And I think lots of people, just clinging on for dear life, really don't have room to really ask whether the relationship is true, whether the relationship is genuine, whether the relationship is honest. We just cling on for dear life. But then when you're clinging on, we're not really growing. We're not really thriving. We're not really doing the work of accomplishing or substantiating ideal relationships or ideal families. And many times, I think lots of people in different religious communities, are taught that marriage is forever. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I believe that marriage or the blessing is forever. But somebody forgot to tell us, in parentheses there, that yes, marriage is forever, provided that both spouses honor, love, cherish, and are loyal and faithful to each other for the rest of their lives. And if so, marriage and blessing should be forever. But what if that's not the case? Well, I know that many, many families, that is not the case. And there are many things that are unspeakable that have gone on and that are going on and that will continue to go on if we don't address how to really have real, genuine, honest, truthful relationship in the context of a family. And so I see lots of families that are intact, that are every part in that family are together. But an intact family is not an ideal family, in that just because you're together doesn't mean you're ideal. Many intact families are actually unideal. It's unhealthy, it's abusive, it's violent, and it needs a lot of work. But when Heavenly Parent is really wanting us to, create beautiful, ideal families, He is not talking about intact families. What Heavenly Parent is talking about is loving families. Ideal families are loving families. It's a family that truly understands the meaning of true love and practices this true rubbing with different members of the family, between spouses, between parent and children, between the siblings, and so on and so forth. And that's why Father has always said that the family is the cornerstone of a peaceful and an ideal world. Because the change that we want to see in the world, if we want peace in the world, we need to work on creating peace in our home. And we do that by practicing true love on a daily basis with different people that we rub up against and that we grow together with. And that's the beautiful thing about a family. So when Father says in September 18, 1979, he says that home church is the great finale to God's providence. I started with individual dispensation to family, nation, and world. Now, I give it all to you as your inheritance. And he asks us to do it, not out of duty, as we did in the age of the wilderness, merely surviving, but to do it because we're truly intoxicated by love, because we are truly thriving in this life that we have chosen, that we are grateful for, that we are going to use it as an opportunity to accomplish our dreams, to be fulfilled and filled with the Spirit, and to go on to accomplish many, many great things for you and for me, for our families, and for our world family. Because after all, we're one family under God. So as we move forward, it's a good thing to remind ourselves from time to time. And this passage in Deuteronomy, when God says, I have put before you life and death. Therefore, choose life. Choose a life where you are thriving, where you become a loving family, where you can inherit the true love of God and become like a beacon in your family and to the different people that you come across. So when Father talks about home church, he said, think about trying to inspire 360 families with the same spirit that you have. You're really using your family as the focal point or as the beginning point, as an expression of true love. So become a living testament of true love. Become a man and a woman of true love. And that was what he preached in the late 70s and early 80s. But the incredible thing about our modern day is instead of 360 homes, with the advent of the internet, especially with iHome Church that my husband and I have been working on, we are not able to just reach 360 families. But thank God to the internet, we can reach lots more. So your goal might be, 3,600 families. Or maybe the next person's goal might be 36,000. Or maybe the next person's goal of fulfilling the 360 number might be 3.6 million people that can be touched by the beauty of true love, by you and me becoming a living testament of what a beautiful and a loving and an ideal family is all about. So if you and I decided to really inherit this message of true Father and really work on creating iHome Church really as a catalyst for changing the world, it's not as crazy as people may think. It can be done. If I can reach thousands of people in a matter of couple months, so can you. And if I can share the breaking news with thousands of people in a matter of couple months, so can you. Because after all, we are all divine sons and daughters of God. So I ask you, I challenge you, I encourage you to really listen to what Reverend Sun Myung Moon, or my father, was preaching back in the late 70s when he said, true love, the ultimate destiny of true love is God's heart. To really understand parental heart and to share that with the world. And that is the key to world peace. So as a mom of 6 children, I want to leave this world better than I found it. And I'm sure you, as parents of your own children, or maybe young people who want to have great families in the future, you want world peace just as much as I do. Well, Reverend Moon's solution to world peace is starting with ourselves. And it may sound simplistic, but it's incredible how effective it is when we start accepting the inheritance of what true Father tried to teach us, and really work together with our Heavenly Father and our Heavenly Mother and watch this magic of true love unfold. Let me tell you, it's a beautiful thing. So please go on to build I Hope churches in your area and touch and move and inspire thousands and thousands of people through the internet or through however way you want to go about it. But move, you can, and move, we must. And we must help our true parents, and we can do it by starting with you and me. So God bless and take care.
Am I wrong for thinking out the box from where I stay? Am I wrong for saying that I choose another way? I ain't trying to do what everybody else doing, just 'cause everybody doing what they all do. If one thing I know, I fall but I'll grow. I'm walking down this road of mine, this road that I call home. So am I wrong for thinking that we could be something for real? So am I wrong for trying to reach the things that I can't see? That's just how I feel. Ooh, that's just how I feel. Ooh, that's just how I feel. Ooh, trying to reach the things that I can't see. Am I tripping for having a vision? My prediction, I'ma be on top of the world. Walk your walk and don't look back. Always do what you decide. Don't let them control your life. That's just how I feel. Fight for yours and don't let go. Don't let them compare you, no. Don't worry, you're not alone. That's just how I feel. So am I wrong for thinking that we could be something for real? Yeah. Oh, am I wrong for trying to reach the things that I can't see? Oh, that's just how I feel. Ooh, that's just how I feel. Ooh, that's just how I feel. Ooh, trying to reach the things that I can't see. If you tell me I'm wrong, I don't wanna be right. If you tell me I'm wrong, just how I feel. Trying to reach the things that I can't see. So am I wrong? Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
If you have any questions and comments, please leave them below the video or go to injuredmoon.com and use the contact form. And don't forget to subscribe to our email list. And if you would like to contribute to the work that we're doing here at iHome Church, please click on the donate button. Thank you, take care.